sol gongyab drewe nyamta dachala jetsun lame tuje rab gongne kodan sungi nangwa dralme to nyamso nyongwe kesan toprasho kewa kundu yanda lama dan dralme cheki pela longche ching sadan lamge yente rabzone dorje change kopa nyur tobesho. Pakyuke akudan dagelu, pakyuke sundan dagenga, ke tudan dageye, tenyerme chikto chingelo, makyuke ku. Om Muni Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Om Muni Mahamuni Shakyamuni Swaha. Buongiorno, good afternoon. So, today, where to start from? Before we start with the actual teachings, I would like to do some particular prayers. I received a message just half an hour ago that one of our very good friends, Dr. Rudi Schneider, known by many friends as Lama Marpa, that he passed away this morning. And this was a message that I received. I am trying to different channels to confirm this, because the way how the message arrived to me was from Switzerland to Argentina, from Argentina to Albagnano, and I am trying to confirm the message, but it looks like it's correct. I'm trying to 3 different channels to confirm it. But, so, you know, very often we talk so much about the certainty of death, no? And very often we are talking about that life, it's impermanent, and that things are not as permanent as they appear. But yet, even though we know it, our tendency most often is to forget about it. So, once again, it's coming to us to remind us, saying, yes, look, I am here in permanence, no? It's part of life. Today we are here, tomorrow we don't know. So I always try to remind myself that what defines time more than quantity is quality. When we judge time, more than judging by how many years we live, is how we live, what we experience, what we do, how we live our life. I believe that this is much more important than how much we actually live. No? So often when someone passes away, leaves his or her body, a very common question is, how old was he or she? No? But I personally believe that this is not really important. Because more important than the age of the person is how did he or she live his or her life. I think this is the most important thing. And the other issue is that, 1 second, this is from Trapten Schilling. Wait. La. Yo. Los. Tangon Trombare. Yeah. Los. What? Los. Yeah. So tanga so sala yo nganzo tunda gedu tsamanyam donge de leng gyab ngazo molam gyab chigyu. Ane tanda keme konso ki thoma pingya ge jewa ge. Oh yes, so now it's confirmed. Okay? So basically, more than how long someone lives, it's more important of how we live, no? And so here we have two important aspects. One aspect is when we remember about impermanence regarding our own life and those that are alive. When someone passes away, the point is not how this person passed away, or why this person passed away, or how did he live or she lived or not, is what can we do now? This is one of the most important things, no? And something that in Buddhist tradition we do have methods to deal with this. No? It is said that in the moment that a person leaves the body, basically the very subtle mind goes to this state called bardo, intermediate state, which is similar like to a dreamlike state. And in this state, actually the person has the ability to communicate with others from mind to mind. Okay? So, and the most important thing is for the person to be in a peaceful state of mind. And it's also said to be important for anyone when dies and is in the bardo to connect with holy places and to connect with people and places that will help the person to connect with a state of joy or love or anything that is positive and virtue. Okay? So, Dr. Rudy, known by many of us as Lama Marpa, he has been a friend of Lama Ganche Rinpoche for many years. No? When he first met Rinpoche, I think we are talking about 88 or 87, 86, 87, something like that. And at that time he used to go hunting. This big, tall Swiss man. And after meeting Rinpoche, he changed his idea. And he understood that hunting was not good, so he stopped hunting. So he gave to Rinpoche the car that he used for, he always liked cars, and he always offered cars. So he gave to Rinpoche the car that he was using for hunting. It was an old Mercedes Jeep. And Rinpoche was so happy with it. He said, oh, this is the first car that I own in my life. I want to offer it to my guru. So Rinpoche was able, in 1987, more or less, to send the Jeep from Italy to Tibet. Okay? So that time there they reached, this old Mercedes Jeep reached from Italy to Tibet as an offer to the 10th Panchen Lama. Okay? So anyhow, I don't need now to go talking about Dr. Rudy Lama Marpa much. Many of you knew him very well. He has been a very close friend for many, many years, a person truly connected from heart to heart with the center, with the Sangha, especially with Rinpoche. He was here just a few days ago. No? So what we will do now is more than talking. We need just to make our prayers and connect to him. Okay? Because this is the moment, then we start with teachings. Actually, today's teaching subject, it's connected directly with the process of death. This we will explain later. But before we start with the process of explaining the teachings of today, we just take the opportunity that we are all here together in a place that Dr. Rudy, he would come very often, was one of his own places of pilgrimage, one of his homes. So he's strongly connected to this place also, and to all of us. So we will make our prayers now. And this is also for us to learn that whenever anyone dies, it's not that we have nothing to do. There are things that we can do. Okay? So we will make our prayers, and I invite everyone to do 3 things, basically. The first thing that we do is we remember, if we knew him, we just remember one good memory, and we try to generate in ourselves gratitude for something. Second, we generate a particular wish, a prayer. What do we want for him now? So wherever he may be, what do we wish for him? To be in peace, to be safe, whatever we wish for him, we make our own wishes and prayers. And third, I invite everyone to make a commitment of something positive that you can do, dedicated for him. Which means you can dedicate that you will make a certain meditation practice, you can commit that you will change some bad habit, you can commit that you will help a person, something specific, practical, spiritual, something virtuous that you would like to do, dedicated for our friend Rudy. Okay? So seems that Rudy passed away in his sleep. What I have just heard was that yesterday night they said good night and they were watching a movie until late, and they left him in his room. And this morning, early morning, when they went there, he was dead. So it looks like he passed away in his sleep. Okay, this is just something, somehow we like knowing these details. So just good that he passed peacefully, seems okay. This is something that is very important for us. So now we'll just make some prayers and we connect to him and to everyone else that may be in the bardo at this time also, and we try to connect in a peaceful, joyful way. Dr. Rudy has always been a very, very joyful person in many ways, so we try to connect with joy also with him. Okay? Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Guru Bhye, Namo Buddhaya, Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Gurubhye, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya, Namo Triratnaya. Sangye chedan soge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chin dagi jinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchira sangye dru. Sangye chedan soge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapsu chin dagi jinso gibe sonam ki drola pinchira Parashoya Sangye Chedan Tsogi Chonamla Dani Kyapsu Chi Dagi Jinso Gibe Sonam Ki Drola Pinchira Sangye Druparashu Magyura Simchen Tamchen Dewadan Dewe Gyudan Dembra Gyuje Simchen Tamche Dungadan Dungagi Gyudan Trawra Gyur Simchen Tamche Dunga Mepe Dewadan Mitre Waragyu Simchen Tamche Nyerin Chada Nidan Rewe Tangnyom La Nepra Kyurchi Simchen Tamche Lusimgi Dunga Le Soshin Trayun Lusem Dewadan Dembra Kyurchi Simchen Tamche NgalSo Topchin China Nuchu Kori Tanshin Tsangma Negyurchi Simchen Tamche Dan Zambu Lingi Kendrota Chinangi Shide Tan Tukun Dembra Kyurchi Tamche Duni Sashi Da Sengma Laso Mepa Dan Lakti Tanyam Bendurye Ranshin Champro Negyurchi Hadami Chebeze Mosum Shadam Yikitru Kunsan Chitrin Lana Me Namke Kangun Kyab Kyurchi Omo Namo Bhagavate Benza Sarva Pramadane Tatagataya Arahate Samya Sambhu Om Benze Benze Ma Tetsa Benze Maha Vidya Benze Maha Bodhicitta Maha Bodhi Mandupa Sangramana Benze Sarva Karma Awar Vishodana Benze Svoha Kuncho Sumki Dembada Sangye Dhanchanchu Sempa Tamche Kijingi Labdan Tsoni Yonso Tsope Ngadan Chembodan Chöki Yin Nambra Takchin Samgi Mikyape Topki Teshin Yitu Kyurchi Lama Lama Trinchen Tsawe Lama Ken Lama Ken Lama Ken Kyamne Kundu Lama Ken Lama Ken Lama Ken Trinchen Tsawe Lama Ken Lama Ken Lama ken kyabne kundu Lama ken Lama ken Lama ken Trinchen Tsawe Lama ken Lama ken Lama ken Kyamne kundu Lama ken Malusem chen kun kye kun gyurchi Dude pungche mi tse chomon tse ala Ngona malu yanda ken gyurpe Chomden korche nedir sheksu Om Guru Buddha Bodhisattva Dharma Pala Saparivar Ehya Hitza Hung Bam Yeshe Panam Tamtse Pada Nisume Parakyu Gosung Gupe Gwene Chatse Lo Ngosha Yitru Chopa Malubul Tome Nesa Diktu Tamche Sha Kepa Gewa Namla Cheirang Korwa Maton Pardo Lekshune Drola Chiki Korlo Dashenge Nama Chanchu Chemborongo Sashi Peki Chukshi Meto Chan Rirav Lingshi Nide Gempadi Sangye Shinto Mikte Ulwargi Drogu Namda Shingla Chepar Sho Yidamang Guru Radna Mandrala Kam Niryata Yami Locho Sampo Pagyu Trashipa Tuche Tempe Trinle Yarngoda Pege Drolora Zampe Tseparache Pande Lame Shabla Solvade Omo A Guru Vajradara Sumatimo Nishasane Kar Uta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om A Guru Vajradara Sumatimo Nishasane Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradara Sumatimo Nishasane Kar Utta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradara Sumatimo Nishasane Utta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Om Guru Vajradara Sumatimo Nishasan Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradara Sumatimo Nishasane Utta Varda Nishri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Om Guru Vajradara Uta Vardanya Shri Bhadra Varsa Manya Sarva Siddhi Hum Pakyuke Kudan Dagi Alu Pakyuke Sundan Dagi Nga Pakyuke Tugdan Dagi Yi Ten Yerme chikto chingelo mai kyu ke kudan dagelo mai kyu ke sundan daginga mai kyu ke tukdan dagi ten yerme chikto Kyuni lama kyuni yidam kyuni kandra che kyonte tene sonte chanchu pardo kyumi kyab shemi tsolwe didam pardo chimetarya toche chagyu sun tsola Si shi jik trol ngo drubo kun sol tengi trol zo par cho sung kyuni lama kyuni yedam kyuni kandro che kyonte tengne sung te chancho pardo Kyomin kyab shemi tsolwe Didam pardo chimetarya Toche chagyu sun Si shi chik trulungo drubu kunso Tengi trozo parcho sung Kyuni lama kyuni yidam kyuni kandro che kyonte tengne sunte chancho pardo kyumin kyab shemit Si shi jik trolo ngo drubo kun sol tengi trol zo parcho kyuni lama kyuni yidam kyuni kandro che kyonte tene sonte chancho pardo kyomin kyabshen mitsolwe Didam pardo chime taryang toche chagyu sun tsola si shimni jitrol Ngo drubo yakunsa Gi trotso paracho yasun Tetralin son sol vata petu La me ko son toge ne namle Du tseve ser karmar tinka son Rimdan chik char chung ne da nigi Ne som rimdan chik char timpale Drib shi tak chi namda wang shi top Ku shi top chi lama ni ba shik Geshin tim jinge la parakyo. Vajra sattva samaya manupalaya Vajra sattva tenopa Tishta didru me bhava Suto kayo me bhava Anurakto me bhava sarva siddhi me prayatsam sarva karma sutsame citam shriyam kuruhum ha 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 ho bhagava sarva tattagata vajra mame munsa mahasamaya sattva ahom pe ho shuddhe Svohayamo Shuddhe Svoha Ram Ho Shuddhe Svoha Lam Ho Shuddhe Svoha Bam ho shuddhe svoha Eyam ram lam bam shuddhe svoha Om muni muni mahamuni Shakya munye Svoha Om Amoga Siddhi Hum Om Aratna Sambhava Hum Om Akshobhya Hum Om Amitabha Hum Om Aveirochana Om Samayatara Hum Om Alochana Hum Om Mamaki Pandara Varsini Om Akash Vajra Hum Om Ye Dharma Hetun Prabhava Hetun Teshan Tatagato Yavadata Teshan Chayo Niroda Evam Vadimaha Svoha Om Chenam Tamche Gyule Chung Te Gyu Deshin Shekpe Sum Gyula Gokpa Kaimba Gechon Chembo Jinge Gechon Chembo Jinge Lo Gechon Chembo Ngodrup Sol Gechon Shishon Omani Peme Ahungari Omani chamden gyalwa shi trel hasoike pardo jikpe trangle dreldo so chanchu semcho rinpoche ma ke panam ke gyurchi ke pa nyam par me pa yang kong ne konto pelwar sho Mani pe me hung ri Mani pe me hung chamden galwa shi tral hatsoi kem Pardo jikpe trangle traldo so shide semcho rinpoche ma ke panam ke gyurchi ke pa nyam par me pa yang kong ne konto pelwar shom Mani pe me hum Mani pe me hum Mani pe me hum Mani pe me hum Vagishwari Mum Vagishwari Mum Vagishwari Mum Vagishwari Mum Vajrapani Hum Vajrapani Hum Vajrapani Hum Vajrapani Hum Maritse Mama Swaha Maritse Mam Maritse Mam Swaha Maritse Mam Swaha Kewa Kunto Yanda Lama Dang Tralme Cheke Pela Long Che Ching Sadan Lamge Yente Rabzone Dorje Change Kopa Nyurtob Shoe Nimo Dele Tsendele Nime Koyan Delekshin Delek Pe Kuncho Sumke Jingelo So we will continue in these next days to dedicate our prayers, our thoughts, especially to Dr. Rudy, okay? And we rejoice of all the virtual things of his life. We manifest our gratitude for all that we have received, and we continue together in this path, okay? So now we start with the formal teachings, okay? Saeshi peke chukshi meto chan rira lingshi nide gembadi sangye shinto mikte ulwargi drogun namda shingla chepar sho yidam guru ranamandral kam niryata yami sangye chedan soge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chi dagi chushe gibe sonam ki drola pinchre sangye drupar sho sangye chedan soge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chi dagi chushe gibe sonam ki drola pinchra sangye druparasho sangye chedan soge chonam la chancho pardo dani kyapso chi dagi chushe gibe sonam ki drola pinchra sangye druparasho. In the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, I take refuge until enlightenment. Through the practice of generosity and the other perfections, may I attain Buddhahood for the benefit of all sentient beings. Nel Buddha, nel Dharma e nel Sangha prendo rifugio fino all'illuminazione. Con la pratica della generosità e delle altre perfezioni possa io ottenere lo stato di Buddha per il beneficio di tutti gli esseri senzienti. Haye ke da ludan chen ke rubunda da mi ke namdam drowa kunge dhanama che tsampa thamche ke tu dagi che ten to. Okay. So, very often we talk about impermanence. Very often we are reminded by the teachings, by many symbols and so on, that this life in this body, as we know it, will not remain like this forever. No? That the greatest certainty that we have in our life is that one day we will die. This is basically something that we don't need to talk about because I believe that we all know it. It's something that we have repeated so many times in so many forms and so on and so on. The question that I make to myself is that once we know it, what shall we do about it? And it depends on few factors. One of the main factors is what is death? Okay. I was thinking about this some time ago, trying to analyze death, trying to describe death, trying to see what is death. And I came to a conclusion myself, which may be a little bit unconventional maybe. But for me, my conclusion was that death is just a concept. So I say, how come? When someone dies, the person is not there anymore, that's not just a concept. I will make an example with something different, okay? Let's imagine this bottle. When the bottle was made, the bottle was born, okay? And then we can attribute the name bottle to it. If suddenly, let's imagine that I hit it, not going to do now. Let's imagine that I break the bottle completely into many, many, many pieces. We say that then the bottle is broken. Can this part still support the name bottle or not anymore? So once I hit very strongly with the stick, can I say that I'm killing the bottle? Metaphorically, yes. Okay? When the bottle appeared in the beginning, when it was made, I could say that the bottle was born, and then suddenly the bottle ended. Okay? The bottle was killed. When the bottle dies, what happens with the water? It disappears completely? No. It falls in the floor, it goes around, it evaporates, it continues in a different shape, but it continues. What happened to the glass? It transforms into small pieces of glass that who knows if they will be taken to recycling or not, but will continue its own life in a different way. So one important thing is that death means that the parts cannot hold anymore the concept, the name. When the parts, which is the glass and the water and all this put together, cannot hold anymore the name bottle of water, that's when the bottle of water dies. This doesn't mean that there is no more water, that there is no more glass. Each one of the parts, they become something else. So there is no beginning, and most of all, there is no end. There is just transformation. Okay? So we say a person have died. In the moment that the gross body cannot sustain any more life as we know it. Okay? But the body continues. It may be buried, it may be burned, it may be transformed into something else. The body will continue to interact and will transform into something else. And as in the same way like the water from the bottle goes down and evaporates and continues in another shape, same happens with the very subtle body and mind. So when anyone dies, from my understanding, is not an end. It is a passage. It's a transformation. Where the identity that we have now cannot be sustained anymore, because our identity of ourselves and the identity that we apply on others is mostly based on this gross body. And then when the gross body cannot hold anymore, it's finished. But the fact that this body finishes as we know it, that a person, let's say, dies, doesn't mean that it is a final, total end. It is just a transformation. There is continuity. The body continues or not. When a person dies, does the body continues or not? Does the body disintegrate in the moment of death? No. The gross body can become ashes. The very subtle body continues from life to life. But let's talk about the gross body. Does it end with death? No, it transforms into something else. In the same way that Actually, even during our lifetime, our own body is regenerated, I don't know how many millions of times maybe during one's lifetime. How often do our cells get regenerated? Every year. So we don't live millions of years, so at least few years. For me, at least 40 times now, the cells of my whole body have been regenerated. So how can I say that it's the same body? It's not. But I still can keep the same identity. That's why I call the same body. So what happened is that basically, from my understanding, when a person dies, the body doesn't end. The body transforms. It cannot hold any more life as we know it. So it will transform into something else. Rinpoche once told me, the body comes from the elements and it goes to the elements. So it doesn't matter so much if the body is burned, if it is buried, if it is taken to water, if it's put in each, whatever of the 5 elements, it makes no difference because it comes from the elements and it goes to the elements. Okay? What happens, which is most important, is that there is a part of our own self that continues day after day, year after year, and also life after life. Let's just imagine for a moment what would happen to us if every time we go to sleep, we wake up with a total amnesia. Let's say we go to sleep and when we wake up we don't remember who we were, what is our name, who is our friend. We look at people, we don't know who they are. We have a total amnesia every time we wake up. It's basically like being reborn. Okay. So, somehow from my understanding, dying and being reborn is like falling asleep and waking up after a total amnesia. It's always us, but we simply don't remember. We don't remember, basically, even we don't need to go through that. How many things have happened during these years of our lives? That someone comes to us and say, no, that happened, and you say, no, it didn't. And we believe that because we don't remember, we think it was not true. Or not? Or because we remember it as being such, we believe that it was true. No? So, when we die, basically the gross body ends, and consequently the gross mind also cannot sustain it, be sustained anymore, so it also ends. Then it transforms into the more subtle body and mind. Then the subtle body loses strength in the subtle part of death, and then the subtle mind together also loses strength and is absorbed by the very subtle body and mind. And this is the part of us that continues from life to life. In this life itself, when we think of our childhood, for instance, is this the same body as when I was a small child? I wouldn't say, right? So it's not the same body. Even the cells are different. Everything has changed. It's not the same body. And the mind, is it the same mind? No. The mind changes also, right? But is there something that was present there that is still present here today or not? Yes. Do we have this connection? I was there and now I am here. There are aspects of our character, there are aspects of our mind that continue day after day. They transform and adapt, but they continue day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year, and life after life. Okay? And this is what we need to take care the most. Because sooner than later, we are going to die. I personally have no doubt about it. Okay? And independently of our age. Because to say, oh, I am young. You know, if death would be looking at us, and we say, I am young, death will start laughing. Since when young people don't die? Oh, but I am wealthy. Even worse, you know. Death would look to us and would not be able even to talk by so much laughter. Say, why wealthy people don't die? Oh, but I am a good-hearted person. You know, I am friend of the Lama. I have a good heart. I am a positive person, and so on. And then maybe death will start even crying, saying, you know, even good people die. So right now, what is the argument that we have towards death, saying, it's not my time? What argument truly we have? Other that we don't think it is. No, whatever. Do we have any valid argument? Today, tomorrow, 1 week, a month, a year, whenever. Do we have any argument, a truly valid argument to say it is not my time to die? I don't know. So, make the following questions to ourselves. First question, try to make it to yourself sincerely. Am I going to die or not? Don't give an answer from your head. Don't answer right away. Allow the answer to come deeply from your guts. Okay? From your chest. Feel it within you. The question is, am I going to die sooner or later or not? Yes. Sure? Yes. Really? No doubt? No. But we need to give the answer not from the head. We need it allowed to be deep inside us. Need to be a deep certainty. Second question. If I'm going to die, and I have no other choice, the second question is when? Again, don't give an answer right away. Allow some time to yourself. Because when we say, I don't know, is it an I don't know that includes today? Or is I don't know like in 20 years' time? Or in 10 years' time? I don't know, but today not, tomorrow sure also not, you know. I still need to finish the course. How can I die now? So, we need to make the question, when am I going to die? Until we can digest the question and we are able to say to ourselves without fear, I don't know. And this includes the day of today. Really? Yes. Third question. If I would die now, what would I be in front of my own death? Who am I in front of my own death? Who am I beyond name, beyond body, beyond social position, beyond knowledge, beyond wealth? Who am I? What would I take with me, and what would I leave for others if I die today? What example I leave for others? On a practical level, do I leave more problems or solutions? What do I leave for others? Dying nowadays is quite a big bureaucratic issue also. It's expensive to be born, it's expensive to live, and it's expensive to die. Like everything, it's quite an issue. So the question, even from the very simple point, if I die today, do I give more problem to people, or I have already taken care of it? Like, I know people that have taken care very well of everything. So when they die, the family and the people around, they can concentrate with a nice part of praying and trying to do something nice, and they don't need to stay dealing with so many bureaucratic issues. I know other people that they left such a big mess, sometimes making wills that are not possibly realizable, making a big mess. So the question is, as one of my gurus once told me, don't be attached to your wealth even after you die. So don't make too many ideas, this should be done this, that should be done that. Leave to the people you trust. They do what they feel is better. Because conditions change. So, if I would die today, am I prepared to die or not? You need to find your own answer. Am I ready to die today or not? If I would meet death in front of me, what would I say to it? Wait a minute, I'm not ready? Or I would just breathe in, breathe out, come down and embrace it peacefully. What would I do? What would we do? Okay? It's not an obvious question. The question is simple, the answer is not so easy. Okay? So, am I going to die or not? As the answer should be yes, I suppose. When? Truly, I don't know. Some people have very bad diagnosis and they live longer than those that seems to be very healthy. We never know truly. In all these years, having been in contact with so many people, I saw people dying in all sorts of ways. People that were very sick, that looked like they were going to die today, they lived for many years. People that were very healthy, from one day to the other, poof. Sometimes because of an accident, sometimes because something looks like someone turned the light off, boom, just die. Difficult to find the reason. Some people, they go through a process of sickness. We never know truly. Okay? So the question is, when am I going to die? I don't know. So, third question, am I ready to die? What would I be in front of death? What would I take with me? What would I leave for others? Am I ready to die peacefully, in peace with myself and others, or not? This brings us to the fourth question. What am I doing today to prepare myself for my own death? What am I doing today to cultivate what continues and to take care of what remains for others? Am I truly preparing myself for my own death or not? Okay? And someone may think, oh yes, that's important, but I have no time now to think about death. Then when? If not now, when? No? There is this Jewish saying which says, if not now, when? If not me, who? No? If we should not prepare for death now, then when? When we are in the hospital, sick, without energy, in a difficult situation, that's when we should start preparing? I would say no. We should prepare for death when we are healthy, strong, relaxed, with our mind healthy. When everything is well, that's when we actually should truly prepare. Not in a way that is heavy. Okay? So how to prepare for death? We have 3 levels. It is said that a spiritual practitioner can have 3 different levels when encountering his or her own death. The first level is to have no regrets. Which means, if I am in front of death, I still have some fear. I don't know what will come after. I'm not so comfortable with the idea of dying. I have attachments and this and that, but I have no regrets. I have lived my last moment up to now in the best of my abilities. I have done everything in the best way as I could. So in order to be able to have no regrets, we should not keep a long to-do list. Okay, there are some things that we always should have a long to-do list. On a material way, it's quite good to have a long to-do list. It gives energy to move forward in a way. Sometimes it generates anxiety, but on one level, I think it's good to have a long to-do list. Okay, big things that we move forward. But especially on a personal, spiritual, emotional level, we shouldn't keep too many to-do things in our list. Like if we have a conflict with someone, we need to pacify it. If we need to say sorry to someone, we need to say sorry. We cannot wait. I always remember one lady from Brazil. She was like a spiritual mentor for me for some time. A good friend of Rinpoche. Her name was Dona Filhinha. She was a healer and a very special lady. And one time I was seeing her, many years ago. I was maybe 10, 11, I don't know. And then when I was with her, she had 2 of her daughters there with her. And they both of them were around their 60s maybe. And she was already in her 80s or something like that. And then, one of the daughters, she looked to us and then she looked at Mom and said, now you see our mother, so kind, so sweet. But with us, she has been very tough. No? She had many children. And then the mother said, or the other daughter, I don't remember, someone there said, they were the 2 daughters and the mother plus me. They had other siblings also, but one of them said, you know what our mom always used to do? Whenever we had a fight between brothers and sisters, she would come very strongly to us, put us together, and say, now you fight, but now, after fighting, you must say sorry to each other, you must clarify things, you must end this moment together without being with conflict and in fighting with each other. Because you never know when each one of you will die. There is nothing worse than your brother or sister die while you were in conflict with him or her. So they had this repeating in their head all the time. So whenever there was a fight, It was okay, but they could not say goodbye to each other until they had hugged and until it was okay and peaceful again. And that's a big teaching. So, is there anyone to whom we need to say sorry? Is there anyone to whom we feel that there is some bad feeling that we need to pacify within us and with the other? Is there anyone to whom we need to say thank you? That we need to manifest our gratitude? That we haven't done? Then it's time to do. Don't wait tomorrow. No? Because the only way to die without regrets is to reach the end of each day without regrets. There is no other solution. There is no other antidote. In order to die without regrets, we must reach the end of every day without regrets. Which means we do the best of our abilities in what we have to do. We are not perfect. I am far from being perfect. And looking at all of you here and imagining those that are at home, in Tibetan it says, "Kansar ni kansar tso suma michete nyambe gyurtare." One being cannot truly fathom what is in the mind of another one. And trying to do that, judging what is in the mind of the other, it's a cause for the generation of oneself. Okay, I cannot judge what is in your mind, but as I look around myself, it doesn't seem for me that there are perfect beings. Okay? Each one of us, we have our own issues. It's part of life. But we can be sincere with ourselves and we can make sure that we do what we really believe is the right thing to do. Maybe sometime after we understand that it was better to do something else. But in order not to have regrets, we should always do what we deeply believe it's the best to do, with our heart and with our mind. Okay. And this is something that is not obvious. It's something that in our daily life we need to put effort. Okay. So, to live our own life without regrets, that's something that it's very important and it's very joyful to do. It means living one's own life with joy, relating to the situations of life, doing the best within our own abilities. In order to live one's life without regrets, to be able to die without regrets, there is some sort of priority that we need to give, which is the priority is not to do what is more easy and to avoid what is more difficult. It's not to do what is more pleasurable and avoid what is more unpleasant. We do pleasurable things, we do easy things, but the priority is to do what is beneficial and to do what feels right. Sometimes what is of greater benefit, it's not the easiest and it's not the most pleasant, but that's the one that we should do, that which is of greater benefit. Sometimes what is of greater benefit, it's not the most easy, it is difficult. Sometimes what is of, what brings greater joy and so on, it's not the most easy thing. So we should do what is right and what is of greater benefit, instead of doing what is more pleasurable or what is more easy. And I believe that most of us, unless we are really, really, blocked by our own selfishness and ignorance into a very strong level, most of us, if we stop with sincerity and we look upon ourselves, deep inside we know what we should do and what we shouldn't do. Being in front of a situation, we know how we should act. We know if we are acting out of selfishness or not, and so on, deep inside. So sometimes we need to listen to our own, inner voice, our own inner personal judgment, and to say, okay, consciousness, and say, yes, I do this, I don't do that, and so on. So first level is to die without regrets. Okay? And one of the aspects of that still is, oh, I would like to do this. If I like to do, then do. Oh, I don't have now the conditions. Okay. When there will be the conditions, I would like to do. But don't remain in one wish. Oh, I would like to do, but I don't do because simply I don't do, but actually I would like to do. If there is something that we think is important, just make it happen. Oh, I would like to make a retreat before I die. Make time. Make the retreat as soon as possible. We never know. Oh, I would like to go to a certain place, I would like to meet a certain person. No, whenever you have the opportunities, do it. I would like to change this habit, do it. It's difficult, no doubt. Life is difficult, so stop complaining, no? I'm sorry to say like this. But sometimes we have too much self-pity. Oh, this is difficult, that is tiring, and we allow life to pass, Life is difficult anyhow, so better to be difficult with something good than with something bad. So anyhow, first level, no regrets, joy. We do what is the best, we put energy, we move forward, we do everything with the best of our intention and capacities. Okay? So whenever we reach the end of the day, if we look backwards, we feel that we have no regrets. Second level is to reach our own death with no regrets and no fear. Okay? In order to have no fear at the moment of death, there are two things that we can do. One thing is to connect ourselves with something that is positive and virtuous, is our ability to take refuge into an inner state of peace, is our ability to connect with what is sacred, to connect with what is virtuous, to connect with an inner state of peace whenever we really need. Okay? And this here, there are true stories that I always remember when I'm talking about this. One is from a friend of ours that was called Patrizia Beninca. Who remember her? Maybe looking here, Tutla here, Maria, Ara, maybe Carmen, yeah. Patrizia, she was a photographer, and she had a very bad disease on the liver, okay? So before passing away, maybe 1 year before, something like that, she went to Kuwait. To Dubai, sorry. She went to Dubai for a holiday at a friend's house. And during this holiday, at one night, she woke up in the middle of the night feeling pain. She went to the bathroom and she started vomiting blood. Okay, she fainted and she ended up in the hospital, sure. No? Then in the hospital, they gave probability of survival 40% or 30%, whatever. She had something, I don't remember exactly what she had. But the fact is that she was in coma for around 10 days. I think beginning was full coma, then she was like in a sort of semi-coma state. And when she woke up later, she told that during the whole period that she was in coma, she was reciting Rinpoche's mantra in her head. She was reciting loudly in her own experience. She was listening to the mantra, singing. I don't know if she was reciting or singing Oma Guru or was doing Oma Guru Vajradhara. I didn't ask her. But she said that she was reciting or singing the mantra, and that even at some moments she had these thoughts, like she was perceiving people coming around and she said, oh, I should not sing it too loud. I am in a Muslim country. This is a Buddhist prayer, She had this sort of uncomfortable feeling, but generally speaking, she said that it was one of the most beautiful experiences of her life. She was in this profound state of peace, reciting Rinpoche's mantra from beginning to end. So this is one of the ways how to die with no fear. Like another friend of hers, then she passed away maybe 1 year later, peacefully. Another friend of us, this I don't need to say who because this person is still alive, had a strong car accident. And the car turned around in all ways, and then she and the husband both fainted. And when the ambulance came, and the first aid people came, and then they woke her up, she woke up with a smile. She was not hurt physically. And they asked her, oh, how are you? Everything okay? And she said, oh, I have never been better. And actually, she was in this inner state of bliss, reciting the prayer of refuge. She had in her mind, Namo Guru Bhye, and so on. And she had refuge, and she felt completely embraced and protected and blissful. And she said it was one of the most beautiful experiences she had. And after she told that the people from the first aid, they were a little bit shocked, like, they didn't expect someone answering, I've never been better, So, anyhow, this is another example that when we have a difficult moment, in order not to be in fear and in order to be able to deal well with it, especially death, we need to connect our mind with something positive and virtuous. So we need to train into that. Like when we have a moment of fear, instead of saying some negative words, we can take refuge. Somehow in our Western culture, when something bad happens, we say, oh my God, no? It's a sort of way of taking refuge. No? I had one friend that he changed this term into Buddhist terms, so he would say, Guya Samaja, Lama Tsongkhapa, So it always looked a bit awkward to me. But the point is that what we need to do is that in a moment of fear, in a moment of difficulty, instead of focusing in the fear or focusing in the difficulty, we need to focus in refuge. We need to connect with something peaceful and sacred. Okay? I had one small experience one time. I was in the airplane, going from here to Brazil. I don't remember if going to Brazil or coming back from Brazil, anyhow, in this part. And suddenly there was a lot of turbulence. And I have traveled a lot, and I never had any fear of turbulence. But this time, I hit my head on the ceiling, then I bucked the belt strongly, and it was like really, really, really strong, like something I never experienced before or after. And then I was relaxed, but then I said to myself, we are always saying that death is a certainty. Maybe it is. Maybe I could die here. Why not? And I had talked some time before with a friend pilot, and he explained me what happens in turbulences. That sometimes the plane hits this like sort of empty place because of the pressure, and then it goes in few seconds some hundreds of meters down, And then I was like, okay, it could happen that I die. So if I would die now, what would I want? So I just stayed there, and I focused my mind in the practice of Guru Yoga. I took refuge, and I generated as much as I could an inner state of peace, of seeing my own mind inseparable of the mind of Guru Buddha, of taking refuge deeply within myself, and I did everything I could to generate the state of mind that I would like to have in the moment of my own death. Okay, and it was actually a very good experience, the whole thing together. So, we need to familiarize ourselves with connecting our mind with what is virtuous, with what is positive, with taking refuge in difficult moments in general. Okay, and this is one of the ways how to protect ourselves. The other way to avoid fear in the moment of death is that actually of developing an identity that goes beyond this body. In the moment that we have an identity that takes truly into consideration that this body is just, as Lama Ganchen would say, said sometimes, a hotel room. No? When we were born, we did check-in. One day we would do check-out. And then we need to move from one hotel to the other called bardo. And then we do check-in again. So Rinpoche used to say, keep the room clean, but don't leave for the room, One day you need to leave it. This body, it's a hotel room. One day we will do check-out, but we don't know when our time in this hotel expires. The important thing, when we die, is that one thing is that we die a better person that was born. The one that did the check-in and the one that does the check-out, the one that does the check-out should be at least a little bit better than the one that did the check-in. So in our daily life, we cultivate our virtues, we act in a way that we feel it's consistent and coherent, we try to cultivate love, and we do the best that we can. This is already a lot. And if we follow in that way, we have nothing to fear, truly. Okay? One of the best ways not to have fear in front of death is when we have a certainty of the resources that we have. There is an inner state of trust on one's own capacities, which is, it doesn't matter where I will be, I will always deal with whatever comes. I have the resources to deal with whatever I may encounter, here or in any other situation. We can also hold to the certainty that my Guru will be with me. I personally have no doubt of that, and I think you shouldn't also. Geshe Jampel Senge, one very important Buddhist master, he explained beautifully how this happens also. So, in the moment that we connect our mind, we are guided with love, with compassion, and we need to have no doubt of that. So, I trust my resources, I trust the blessings that I have, I need not to fear death. So when we are able to reach the state in which we have no regrets and no fear upon death, we have reached the middle level realization upon death. Okay? The third level is much more difficult, much more difficult. And if you realize the first and the second, it's already very good. Okay, no need to worry much. But the third level is when a person is able to prepare him or herself to a certain level that the process of death is the best opportunity in life. And this is now what is the subject of today. This is the next part of self-healing, in which we learn how to use the process of death as the best opportunity for our own spiritual growth. Okay, it is possible. When we can do that, that's the best way how a spiritual practitioner can encounter his or her own death. It's using it as the best opportunity. It is said that the one that is truly prepared enters into the process of death like the child running to the arms of the parents with so much joy. Or when you go back to your home after a long time, you haven't been there and you are so happy to be back, you know? So, let's go back to the practice of self-healing. And this part of the practice of self-healing in which we are entering now, it has one of the functions of the part which is called the completion stage or the 4 empowerments. According to my own understanding, it's not something that I have ever read, but following my own understanding and my way of practicing and so on, I see it very clearly as a very good way to prepare for one's own death. It's also a preparation for death. Okay? So, in the practice of self-healing, we have reached the moment in which we have basically connected at each one of our 5 chakras. We have the 5 Dhyani Buddhas. We have developed our qualities regarding each one of our 5 chakras to their maximum potential. Now, as we said yesterday, we have the vase empowerment, the secret empowerment, the wisdom empowerment, and the word empowerment. Okay? The vase empowerment is divided into 2 groups, which are the Vajra disciple empowerment and the Vajra master empowerment, or divided into total of 6, which is the bell empowerment of Amoghasiddhi, the crown empowerment of Ratnasambhava, the Vajra or the water empowerment of Akshobhya, the Vajra empowerment of Amitabha, and the name empowerment of Vairochana, and then the Vajra master empowerment. Okay? So, there are many different ways how we can explain all of this. I'm just trying to find the best path today. Okay. Today we go through this direction. Then tomorrow we can go again through another one. But the process of death is divided into 2 parts. There is gross death and subtle death. Okay? Gross death is basically where we have the dissolution of our 5 aggregates, the dissolution of the 5 elements, where our gross body and mind dissolves, where it loses strength. Okay? So basically, there are different ways how we can name these steps, but we have when earth dissolves into water, water dissolves into fire, fire dissolves into wind, and wind dissolves into the space of consciousness. Okay? So we have earth, water, fire, wind, space. Okay? We have 5 elements, one absorbing gradually into the other, which is truly not an absorption. It's basically each element loses strength and the other one manifests more clearly. Okay? Together with that, as our elements lose strength, our 5 senses also stop functioning. So, for instance, as the earth dissolves, the eyesight power ends. Okay? And together with that, our 5 aggregates also degenerate. So, remember, we have the aggregate of form, the aggregate of discernment, aggregate of sensation, aggregate of consciousness, and the aggregate of compositional factors. Okay? If we follow the right order according self-healing, Vairocana aggregate of form, Amitabha aggregate of sensation, Akshobhya aggregate of consciousness, Ratnasambhava, Again, Vairocana aggregate of form, Amitabha aggregate of discernment, Akshobhya aggregate of consciousness, Ratnasambhava aggregate of sensation, and Amoghasiddhi aggregate of compositional factors. Okay, which is like our own character. Let's put in this way. So, these 5 aggregates, which is also what is being represented by the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, it's also representing our identity, is the basis of our self, but it's part of our gross body and mind mostly. Okay? So, as we start in the process of death, gradually all the 5 aggregates also lose. Okay? So in the practice of self-healing, what we are doing in the first part is we are focusing on each one of the 5 aggregates and connecting to it in a pure way. We are transforming the 5 aggregates, generating it in a pure way, and somehow, let's say, purifying and transforming our 5 aggregates. Okay? It's also connected to our 5 senses and to the different aspects of our gross body and mind. So, in the first part, which is called the vase empowerment, what we are doing, we can make a connection with that to the first part of death, which is the gross death. In the first part of death, basically, our 5 main aggregates are dissolving and we are losing contact with our own body and mind in a gross level, and gradually, our body dissolves into the subtle body and our mind dissolves into the subtle mind. So, in the practice of self-healing, we follow the order of the chakras. We don't follow the orders of the process of death. Okay? The process of death, the order is a little bit different. But still, by transforming each one of the aggregates and so on, we connect with our own potential. Because one of the important things to do in the moment of death is to connect with our own potential, to generate a positive identity of one's own self, and to recognize the process of death going on. Okay? So, first we start with Buddha Amoghasiddhi. Okay, we do differently. I will today finish the explanation connecting to the process of death, and then tomorrow we go to each one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas with more details, okay? And then we go to a different perspective also of the practice of self-healing. So, after we did the transformation of each one of our 5 aggregates, and we meditate in which one of the 5 Dhyani Buddhas, so which means that we identify ourselves with our qualities developed to their maximum potential. Okay? So as we were talking yesterday, we have, like in the secret chakra, is our own power of realization, is the capacity to rejoice, is our having no more fear, so it's certainty, power of realization, and all these qualities connected to the secret chakra and to Buddha Amoghasiddhi. For instance, the capacity of wrathful or action of opposition, and then we have also the pure aggregate of composition of factors, which is like our own character in a pure state, and so on. So, we imagine all these qualities that they were growing up, and then suddenly we identify with these qualities developed to their maximum potential. So first we do that with Amoghasiddhi, then with Ratnasambhava, Akshobhya, Amitabha, and then Vairochana. Okay? So, tomorrow we will go into more details about the 5 Dhyani Buddhas and this part of the practice. Once we have finished that, we do what is called the Vajra Master Empowerment. The Vajra Master Empowerment is basically where we say, okay, all my aggregates are pure, so if all my parts are pure, I am pure. It's like if we start putting the parts of the puzzle together, we say, oh, the aggregate of form is transformed, wisdom is developed, aggregate of sensation, of discernment is transformed, wisdom of discernment is completed, no more attachment and insatisfaction, all satisfaction and concentration, pure speech, no more anger, love, compassion, stability, the aggregate of consciousness is transformed and pure, the Dharma Dhatu wisdom is in the moment of the result, Ratnasambhava, no more arrogance, full of generosity, in a state of humbleness, with a pure wisdom of equanimity, with a pure aggregate of sensation, the capacity to increase. Then Amoghasiddhi, no more jealousy, no more fear, no more uncertainty, full capacity of action, full certainty in every action, joy of the positive actions of others, and so on. Okay? So, we connect with these qualities. Then, once I have all these qualities fully developed, this means, oh, I am a Buddha. So it's somehow developing the identity of being a pure being by having transformed the parts that compose us. So the body is transformed, the mind in every aspect of it is transformed. So once I am able to see this, then I identify myself with these qualities transforms, and then I can say, okay, I am a Buddha. As we said from the very beginning, there is body, mind, and identity. The Vajra Master Empowerment is the moment in which we generate the correct, the pure identity. I am an enlightened being. Okay? And we connect with that identity very strongly. Okay? Tomorrow we will go on with the visualization and so on. The next part, it is connected with the, up to here it's connected with the gross part of death. Okay? From here on, it's directly connected with the subtle part of death. Because in the subtle part of death, what happens is that first, what is called the white bodhicitta, which is basically the energy coming from our father, or the white substance of bliss that is in our crown, it naturally dissolves. Because what happened in the process of death is that when the gross death have happened, all the winds, the prana, start to reabsorb back. And as they start to reabsorb, the right and the left channel loses strength. And the knots that are blocking the central channel, they get more loosened. And then the white bodhicitta that is in the crown, inside the central channel, starts descending. And as the white bodhicitta descends and the winds are all absorbing into the central channel, as this happens, the person experiences a state in which all the, the subtle mind, the aspect connected with the male energy of aversion of the subtle mind starts to dissolve. Okay? So, this energy, it can be used in a positive way or in a negative way. It depends how we relate to it during our own lifetime. But on a, let's say, more technical level, in this moment, the white bodhicitta dissolves. And this is called the white vision. Then the red bodhicitta dissolves as the knots in the navel are loosened. The red bodhicitta, which is of the nature of heat, goes upwards inside the central channel. That's what is called the red vision. Then the two meet at the heart chakra as the two knots open, and the white bodhicitta touches the heart chakra, and the red bodhicitta also touches the heart chakra, and in the center of our heart is what is called the indestructible drop, which is like a nutshell made of the white and red bodhicitta from our father and mother in the moment of conception, which would be like the essence of the sperm and the ovum in the moment of conception. And inside of this is this so-called very subtle body and mind. Okay? So, the white bodhicitta touches the upper part, which is white. The red bodhicitta touches the lower part, which is red. And when it turns, that moment is called the black vision. It's like a total blackout. Okay? And this is the moment in which all the subtle energy winds, everything have absorbed into the heart. In this moment, there is no more gross mind, and not only that, there is also no more subtle mind. There is no more attraction, no more aversion, no any sort of consciousness, a total blackout. Okay? Then, at a moment, the white bodhicitta continues down, the red bodhicitta continues up, and this indestructible drop opens. And at this moment, it is what is called the moment of clear light, when the very subtle body and mind manifests once again before being reborn into the intermediate state, before getting out of the body and manifesting in the body of the bardo, which is more or less like a dream. Okay? So, in self-healing, we can connect in the following way. The vase empowerment, we can connect with the gross part of death, the dissolution of the elements. Then we have the secret empowerment, when we do Om Mani Padme Hum. No? When we do the Om Mani Padme Hum, what is the visualization? In our crown chakra, the white bodhicitta descends. The male energy of method. Then from the secret chakra, the red bodhicitta of the female energy of wisdom ascends, goes upwards until the crown chakra. Okay? That's basically what happens in the moment of death, when there is the white vision and the red vision. Okay? Then after that, there is what is called the wisdom empowerment. In the wisdom empowerment, we visualize that the two energies unite at the crown, at the throat, at the secret chakra, at the navel, and ultimately the two energies unite at the heart. And as the energies unite, what happens basically is that all the different energy winds absorb into that chakra, okay? It's like if all the energy winds start absorbing, and finally all the winds, all the prana absorbs into the heart chakra. This is the moment which is called the black vision. Okay, where everything absorbs into the heart. Then, this is called the wisdom empowerment. It's connected to the black vision. Then when this very subtle mind manifests, which is called the clear light, it's directly connected with the called word empowerment. Okay? So, we could say in a way that the vase empowerment helps us to prepare for the gross part of death. Then the secret empowerment is a preparation for the subtle part of death. And then the wisdom empowerment is a preparation for the completion of the subtle death. And the word empowerment is a preparation for the conclusion of death, which is the clear light. Okay? Yeah? We can say that the vase empowerment, it's a preparation for the gross part of death, which is the dissolution of the elements. Okay? Then we have the secret empowerment, male and female energy, is a preparation for the dissolution of the subtle body, which is the subtle part of death, white vision and red vision. Then the wisdom empowerment is a preparation for the conclusion of subtle death, the last part of the subtle death, which is called the black vision. And the word empowerment is a preparation for the final part of death, which is called clear light. Okay, so the interesting thing is that the way how the practice of self-healing is taught, if we meditate correctly, if we connect or not consciously with the process of death, we are already preparing ourselves for it. And for me, that's something very special. Because even without knowing it, we are doing it. Okay? So, just trying to put things in a simple way. It is said that in the moment that our subtle body dissolves, just before that, when, let's say, when the wind dissolves into space, before the white vision, there is one thing called the dissolution of the 80 mental states. Okay? Kuntok Gecho in Tibetan are called. And in self-healing number 3, these 80 mental states are described. Okay? And the first time I read them, I thought them to be a bit awkward. Because in these 80 mental states, there is like memories of hugging, kissing, sucking, of aversion, attachment, and all sorts of things. Okay? And I was thinking about it, and I had more than one person, but in particular one, that a friend that he had few near-death experiences. And he is a professional, he's still alive, but he used to be a professional surfer. And he had this passion to ride these immense big waves. And it happened few times that he was thrown down under the wave and he stayed more than 5 minutes underwater, just turning. And I thought, after this happened the first time, how can you ever go back again there, you know? Anyhow, he said that 5 times he went down under the wave, and from the 5 times, 3 times he lost completely consciousness, and they needed to reanimate him. Okay? And he said that during that time, one of the reasons why he had no fear to do it again is because his experience was not bad, he said. He said that while he was in that state, he felt some sort of peace inside, and he saw in front of him the movie of his whole life passing. So the stronger emotional events of his life, one after the other, he saw in front of his eyes passing. But before it finished, he woke up. You know? There they were with this, like truly reanimating him, no? Or I don't know if doing massage in the chest or whatever way they were doing there. These are in big championships. There is all the ambulance ready there, so I don't know exactly how they did. But if we look from my understanding through the Buddhist teachings, what happened is that he was already in the process of death. But the process of death didn't conclude. So through the power of substance, of physical, it was possible to invert that process and come back again. So if we look in the process, he was just in between the end of the gross death before the beginning of the subtle death. Okay? And this is the moment where the memories of our life pass by, which they pass by like similar to a candle. I don't know if you have ever seen a butter lamp. Normal candles also do this effect, but much less. When you have a butter lamp, you make a lamp of oil or of butter, and you have in the center the wick. There is a moment in which the butter ends, and there is just the wick. And then in the last moment, the fire goes stronger. And then suddenly it ends. Okay? So, similar to that, it's said that in the moment of death, as our elements lose strength, they still manifest stronger. So like in the moment of the earth, you feel earth stronger first. Then in the moment of fire, the same, and so on. So you feel like there is a moment in which it comes stronger. It's similar to the fact like there is even a specific term that refers that people, when they are sick, they get better before dying. No? There is a specific term for that also. So what happens is that in this process, as our gross mind loses strength, let's say something like the strong memories that are in our gross mind, they start popping up. One after the other. Okay? So what type of images and memories we have in the moment of our death depends on how we live our life. Which type of memories we accumulate. And then it is said that these memories, they are mainly connected with three attitudes, three energies: attraction, aversion, and indifference, neutral. Okay, which is the male, female, and neutral energies. So, generally speaking, these 80 mental states are divided between attraction, aversion, and ignorance. There is a precise number, but sincerely, I feel that each one of us, it may be slightly different. It's not exactly the same how they manifest, because we have different mental states. Okay? So, once the gross body dissolves, what we have been doing before in self-healing is connecting with the positive aspects of our gross mind. We have been identifying ourselves with wisdom, satisfaction, love, compassion, stability, generosity, humility, power of realization, joy. We are connecting ourselves with the good qualities. We are connecting ourselves with the 4 and the 5 actions, with connecting ourselves with the pure aggregates, with the 5 wisdoms. So we are identifying and connecting ourselves with a positive aspect of our own mind. Okay? The stronger we do that, the easier it will be when our mind dissolves in the moment of our own death. The more we connect with the positive side of ourselves. Okay? And the less we nourish our negative habits. Okay? As they fade away as we are alive, they will not manifest with strength in the moment of death. Remember that the subtle mind follows the direction of the last thoughts of the gross mind. Then, in the moment that the subtle mind dissolves, first there is the white bodhicitta dissolving, and that's the male energy, which is connected to bliss, but it's also connected to aversion. Okay? Aversion by itself, it's not something negative in the sense of the energy to oppose, the energy to go against something. It's not something negative. It depends on what we project it and how we relate with it. Okay? So the better we know during our lifetime to deal with that energy, the easiest it will be in the moment of our own death. So in the practice of self-healing, as we go with the Omani Peme Hum, similar that before we connected with the positive aspects of our mind, connecting to each chakra, here we are connecting with the positive aspects of the male energy of method or the white bodhicitta. So we are connecting with a state of bliss, we are connecting with love and compassion, which is also connected to it. We are connecting with not following this unlimited aversion or anger and so on. So we are connecting to a positive side of this energy. Okay? Then, as the female energy of wisdom, the red bodhicitta, goes upwards, once again we do the same thing. We connect with the positive aspect of this part of our mind, which is the subtle mind. And the subtle mind is not made of conceptual thoughts. It's made of attraction, aversion, and indifference. A neutral. These are what our subtle mind is made of. So basically in this moment, somehow we make peace with that subtle aspect of our mind and the subtle energy aspect of our body. Okay? And we focus with all the energy entering into the central channel, and as the female energy of the red bodhicitta move upwards, we are overwhelmed by this red image, and we experience it in a blissful way. Okay? During all the process, I just add something. If possible, we should also be aware that it appears as a white image of the right vision, and it's empty of inherent existence. It appears as a red vision of the red bodhicitta moving upwards. It manifests as great bliss, and it's empty of inherent existence. Tomorrow we'll talk more about this. Okay? Then after that, we just imagine that all the winds and subtle energies, they come and they go directly towards our heart. And everything absorbs in our heart. And in this moment, we don't experience it in a negative way, but instead in a blissful way. We feel the bliss of gradually pacifying the conceptual thoughts, pacifying attraction and aversion, and entering into this sort of nothingness. Okay? It's this sort of total darkness, but within a state of bliss. Then, once this happened, once we go through that, that's the Om Mahasukha Hum. Then from within this state of this nothingness, this blissful nothingness, then suddenly appears light. And we generate an identity which is virtuous, which is an identity based on our qualities at a very subtle level. Okay, we identify ourselves both in our very subtle body and very subtle mind. Our very subtle mind is called clear light, our very subtle body is called illusory body. Okay? So making it simple, we identify ourselves in a positive way at a very subtle level of existence. So as we train into that, basically we are somehow preparing ourselves for the process of death. Not somehow, we are preparing ourselves for the process of death, especially the subtle part of death. So there is this direct connection with the practice of self-healing and the process of death. Okay? So here is one more reason why to practice self-healing. We are going to die. We don't know when. And by doing self-healing, knowing or not, aware or not, we are preparing ourselves for our own death. Okay? And I think this is something very special. So, tomorrow we will go on with more details about it. Today we did a little bit late because first I was busy. Before coming down I had today one small Dharma talk for one group in Indonesia. It's an Indonesian Buddhist channel, and they wanted an interview, so I was talking to them at 2:30. And then when I finished, I was coming down, and then there was the news from our friend Rudy passing away and all of that, so we ended up a little bit late today. But we dedicate the merits of today, especially for our friend Rudy. Also connecting that through his passing, we also were connecting to our own mortality, to our need to practice right away, to our need to live our life in a truthful way, because, and with joy, One of the things which remained very strong in my mind from Rinpoche, one of the last teachings that Rinpoche gave to me, One of the last teachings was, it doesn't matter what happens, need enjoy. There we are with pain, need enjoy. Rinpoche was, his body was not in the best state. Anyone would come, doctor or nurses, and say, oh, everything okay? He was a big smile, and the two hands like this. So, and he verbalized some days before, need enjoy. It doesn't matter what happens, we need to do joyfully. It's a very important thing. And I had also one very powerful experience that I just take the opportunity to share. That when I was in the hospital with Rinpoche, in the last days, before Rinpoche left his gross body, I had this very interesting experience of being there with Rinpoche. I knew inside myself very clearly that Rinpoche was passing. Actually something I don't know if I ever said before in an open context, but something very strange happened to me during that period, which I never had before that a similar experience, was that in the day that I knew that Rinpoche was sick, that he came to tell me, oh, Rinpoche has fever, Rinpoche was saying, no, nothing happening, I am fine, everything okay, in a way. Trying to keep us okay. But I went to my room and I cried a lot. And I had images coming to my mind, which normally never happens. I don't have so much inner dialogue. And I had images coming to my mind of almost everything that happened after. Like Rinpoche going to the hospital, and then the whole process and not being able to survive physically, and then needing to tell everyone from the Sangha, and the whole process, all these images, they were coming to my mind, one after the other. And I had this very strong certainty of how things would go. I tried to invert it many times, and not to say, okay, I never give up at any moment, but I had this strong intuition. Even during that days, in the morning, we were making long life mantras. And I would come down to do the mantras, and something very strange that had never happened before or after. As I was doing the mantras, I had thoughts and images entering my mind, and they were all images concerning Rinpoche was passing away, and things that happened, So when I was in these last days with Rinpoche in the hospital, I stayed many nights with him there also. It was very peaceful. It was profoundly peaceful. It was no one moment of tension, nothing like that. There was tensions regarding other aspects, but the presence with Rinpoche itself was very peaceful. And there was this very special feeling, of being there with Rinpoche, of knowing that he was to die, and having nothing to ask, and having nothing to request, because everything that could be taught was taught, everything that could be said was said, and there was no need to say anything else, and there was no need to request anything more. In the sense that Rinpoche already gave more than what he gave to me and to all of us. It's impossible, So there was this very deep feeling of no regret, which we were talking before. in a way, But then a feeling of no regret, and in a way also no fear. In my way, there was no fear of Rinpoche passing because I had full trust on Rinpoche himself. He knew very well. 2 days before Rinpoche passed away, he said to me very clear, he said, I am dying. I know it. And I said, no, Rinpoche, the doctors, the Mo, the Lama, Rinpoche said, I know my body. Very peacefully. Very, very peacefully. Not one moment with anxiety or anything like that, Very, very peacefully. But to be in front of this moment and having this state of peace of mind, of trust, of no fear and of no regret, I think it's something that it's very valuable. So this is something that for me was a very profound experience that we can apply to our own life also. Okay, I don't know even why I touched this subject, but the point is that we are all going to die. Okay, so today we concentrate and we dedicate our prayers to our friend Rudi Schneider, Dr. Rudi, Lama Marpa, and then, but dying is not a problem. Problems are things that have solution. Dying is a fact, it's not a problem. And the problem is not to die, the problem is to live badly. The problem is not to live one's life in the best of one's own ability. The problem is to pass one's own life around little stupid problems consuming our life energy instead of cultivating virtue, of cultivating positive things, of growing and becoming a better person in this life. So, there is nothing bad about death. Sincerely. There is something bad about not living well. So we don't need to worry about death. We don't need to be fearful about death. We need to worry about not living a life in a good way. We need to be fearful of passing our time just cultivating attraction and aversion. Of letting our life just go like this. This we need to be worried about. And not with fear, but with awareness, to put the best of our ability, the best of our capacity in every day, each one of us, wherever we are, whatever job we do, whatever interactions we have, we use every moment in the best of our capacity. So, the last time I talked with Rudi was before he left Albagnano some days ago, and he asked me for one advice because he had a legal case. And the main issue of the legal case was that some office of the government were complaining that he was too kind to his patients. Making a long story short, that he gave to the patients like the amount of disability and so on, which made the social system to need to pay the patients some money, which now the social system doesn't have the money as they used to be due, so they were complaining that he could have said that the patients were not such in a bad shape or whatever. And he told me, what I did? I just give priority to the patient. And I just thought how I could be of greater benefit to that person, And so he was in peace when we talked about this, and we talked a little bit. He said he was very grateful. So thank you very much. I gave him just some perspective about it, And I told him, you just answer to these people saying, that you gave priority to the patient and not to the money. If you government want to give priority to the money and not to the patient, that's your choice, not mine. So somehow it just reminded me that, Rudy, in his very special way, he was out of the normality somehow, in a good way, But he was really doing his best, really connecting with the heart and helping as a doctor and with everyone, always doing the best way that he could. And this is something very positive, so I'm quite sure he had no regrets. So that's it. So please, we need to take into our own life. No, we need to have no fear of death, but awareness that life at some moment with the conditions we have change. And we need to use in the best of our abilities the conditions that we have right now here with joy. Okay? So we concentrate for Rudy with our prayers during all these next days, for the 49 days and so on. But more than sadness, we celebrate the good aspects of his life. We are grateful to the good things that we receive. We remember the good memories that we had together. This, I believe, it's even more important. Okay? And we find the ways also, now we look how to be near to the family also, to the wife and the kids also. Okay? So I think this is all for today. Tomorrow we do teachings morning and afternoon. Okay? And then the day after tomorrow also. So we do our dedication for today. Sayashi pöki chukshi meto chan rirab lingshi nide genpadi sangye shinto mikte ulwar ki drogun namda shingla chöpar sho chetsun lame kutse rapten chi namkar trinle chokchur gepadang Losan tempe drume sasum ki drove munsela takto ne gyur chi yidama guru ratna mandral kam niryata yami kewa kunto yanda lama dan drame cheki pela longche ching Sadan lamge yönte rapzone dorje change kopa nyurtob shoya nimodele tsendele nime kuyan delekshin nintsen takto delekpe kuncho sumke jingilo kuncho sumke ngodrubutsol At dawn or dusk, at night or midday, may the three jewels grant us their blessings. May they help us to achieve all realizations and sprinkle the path of our lives with various signs of auspicious. All'alba o al tramonto, di notte o durante il giorno, possono i tre gioielli concederci le loro benedizioni. Possano aiutarci ad ottenere tutte le realizzazioni e cospargere il sentiero della nostra vita con molti segni di buon auspicio. Thank you very much, grazie a tutti e ci vediamo domani mattina. See you tomorrow morning.